series premiere of Lovecraft Country is available for free on YouTube. Zach, get to watch it now.
It's not about like, oh, I can't watch it. It's just like I completely forgot before.
Yeah, but this show is gonna go long enough. You could watch it now. Just don't say anything for the next hour.
There are advantages. We are live right now. Actually, that's a good way to start. Where Zach doesn't say anything. Perfect.
That's always a great show.
It's okay, Biscuits. You're here with me. You have to deal with me. He loves me.
Your support system.
I wish you could see the face he's giving. He's just like, what are you doing?
I'm just glad he's blocking out your face.
Damn it, Tina, that's my line.
God damn it. See, no one's faster than Tina with the wittiness.
Sure.
It's true. All right, so the order is
Nathan,
Tina, yeah.
All right. So we're all ready to go?
Yep.
Did you edit your story, Zach?
Pretty much. we're like Bill O'Reilly, okay? We do it live.
It's true. I mean, it's not 100% true.
Fucking thing sucks.
Here we go. On this episode of the Culture Smash Cast.
As if.
A soon-to-be bump in the night Mexican Gothic is coming to Hulu.
And TENET may be in theaters sooner than we think.
Wow.
None of those were funny.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
It's the Culture Smash Cast, episode 536, August the 19th, 2020. I'm Stephen Lackey, editor of Culturesmash.tv. Nico?
Nicholas Qualls, contributor to Culturesmash.tv.
Tina?
Tina, contributor to Culturesmash.tv.
Nathan?
Nathan Savino, contributor to Culturesmash.tv.
Zach?
I have a cat. His name is Biscuits.
That is...
I
the
swear I
peak
thought I heard you say snack as your name, and I'm like, nah.
I have a cat. He's cute. He loves everybody.
This cat is a snack.
What are we doing? We're doing a podcast?
Zach has a pussy.
Oh,
like that. It's pretty
Or
funny.
are you Ben Shapiro in this bitch?
my pussy is not a wet ass pussy, a wet ass P word. It's not a wet ass P word. We don't get political, but I will get political there. That is it. We're talking fine.
So I made myself a margarita in an AC/DC cup.
I have water in my monogrammed cup, my monogrammed tumbler.
I have water in my big bottle.
What is that?
Hey.
Is that you, Zach? There was a weird noise.
I mean, I took a drink.
Oh, perfect. And Zach is drinking out of an old man cup.
No, it's a Game of Thrones wine glass. But
is that what it is?
Yeah, it's supposed to be wine in there. You know, kind of like Game of Thronesy, but I don't know. It works pretty great for drinks too.
All right. Zach is. I'm having a drink because Nathan's here in person. Zach is having a celebratory drink.
I'm having a celebratory drink because turns out I am sick and tired of paying loans, so we're getting that done.
You're
tonight.
having a drink because I'm sober.
Yeah. Are you done with, was it your college loan being paid off?
Yeah, I had 2 of them, and we're getting that
Woo!
one done.
Nice.
I know that feeling. It's a great feeling.
Well, I mean, for me, I'm just like, I can just pay this off. I have enough in my savings. We're doing that today. We're just doing that.
Good for you. Get it out of there. Stop paying that interest.
I'm like, it's gonna hurt, but in the long term, it's like,
don't have to pay it next month.
This is going to be just a great decision.
I think I paid mine off in like 2012 or 2013, and it was the best.
Mine was last year. Last year was my last one.
Well, I think we can all collectively say, fuck student loans.
Yes.
Yes.
Not me. I went to school in Grant.
Oh, la-di-da.
La-di nothing. It's a blind boy Grant. That's what I went to school on. Pale Grant. All right, that's about it. Yep. So
All right.
So how's box office looking?
Well, has anybody been doing anything interesting before we move into the movies?
Have I? No.
Are we going to discuss TV now or later?
No, we'll do it later.
I upgraded my PC. Or no, I didn't upgrade. I did work on it.
It wasn't even that interesting.
It wasn't interesting.
Okay, it's like saying I changed my oil in my car.
I've done that
thermal
recently.
paste on my CPU and
all right.
It's like
I'm going through.
I have regrets.
I mean,
none of this is interesting.
Yeah, I was gonna say you regret asking this question.
None of this is interesting. Welcome to 2020.
Yeah, we warned you.
I through the horror section on Amazon Prime.
That's TV.
Yeah, there are movies. You can be watching movies.
But they're watched on TV. Okay, go ahead.
Let's go on. Oh.
I am going to punch you in the nuts.
I shouldn't have sat back here.
Let's do box office. Let's go.
All right, fine. All right, so box office. Number 10 was American Deep State. I don't know what that is, but it made $15,000. Woohoo! Number 9 is Spree. That one made 20 grand. Number 8 is Made in Italy. It made 20. Also, these are like $200 something apart from each other, really. Those two movies. Number 7 is The Big Ugly, still in the top 10. It made 22,000. It's made $500,000. Number 6 is The Silencing. That's something new. It opened with $53,000. Number 5 is Peninsula. This is the movie that we want to see.
I want to see this so bad.
I do too.
Sequel to Train to Busan. It made $79,000.
Oh, yeah.
It's made $273,000 so far. Number 4 is The Rental. That one's been in there for a while. It made $93,000. It's made $1.3 million. Number 3 is The Tax Collector. It made $182,000. It's made $612,000 so far. Number 2 is new this week, Unhinged. I want to see this, and actually am surprised to see some reasonably positive reviews. I figured it would just suck. But it opened with $600,000 so far. That is what it has made.
That's not a bad opening considering the times.
Yes, but it's a Russell Crowe movie, so I mean it's a name actor at least to some degree. Number 1 is the SpongeBob movie.
I mean, that's a name.
That is a name, and it made $865,000 in its opening weekend.
I didn't know it made another SpongeBob movie.
Oh yeah, I've been seeing the ads for it. I don't know that much about SpongeBob honestly, but I know people like it and stuff, right? You like it, Nathan?
I liked it back in the day.
I would say SpongeBob is really great.
Coming out of that target generation, so I never really watched SpongeBob.
Yeah, it was never my
2 and 3 were great, and then after that.
So
SpongeBob is like, I feel like SpongeBob is a child Simpsons almost at this point with its longevity and how it's pretty much not changing in plot ever.
Do you know how many? Do you know how old SpongeBob is?
No.
21 years old.
Yeah, 21 years.
21.
99.
Wow. SpongeBob can drink.
Well, I know the SpongeBob musical did pretty well.
Cheers to SpongeBob. So apparently, and we may talk a little bit more about this later, but movie theaters are open in 42 states. So apparently SpongeBob has places to be screened and people are I guess, seeing it.
Well, and it seems like this weekend movie theaters are going to open here in Nashville.
Yeah, they are. I guess we'll get to that in a second with one of our stories. So let's go on with what we got to start with. Tina. Oh wait. We're going to talk about Death on the Nile first, which is also very Tina-centric.
Tina's a good person to go
I'll
to.
say that's also mine.
Yeah.
I am super excited for this movie.
So Death on the Nile is a sequel to the Midnight
Murder on
Orient
the
Express.
Orient Express with
it's another
Hercule Poirot.
Yeah,
it's another
still
Agatha
Kenneth Branagh.
Christie. Yeah,
Kenneth Branagh directing and starring.
Yeah. Armie Hammer comes back as, I can't remember his role, but he comes back.
He was in
that
first
same
one?
role. I think so.
I
No,
saw that and I have no memory of that.
I
I
can't
don't think
remember.
he was in it.
There was another guy. I can't remember who it was because I'm shitty with actors' names unless it's Chris Evans.
Wow.
There's another guy who comes. He plays like Hercule's.
Police or Interpol
friend, yeah.
contact. Yeah.
Yeah. But no, the Death on the Nile trailer. Now, keep in mind, I also did reread the book earlier this year. But everything from the trailer, I can see where it was in the book, so that gives me hope. Because usually that's a really good sign of, okay, maybe it'll actually tell the story correctly.
Yeah, this is from the acclaimed director of Artemis Fowl, which just came out. Really great film.
Is it really the same
Yes,
director?
it is Kenneth Branagh.
Kenneth Branagh.
Oh,
Yeah,
I didn't realize
no.
Kenneth Branagh did that too.
Yes.
Kenneth Branagh's done good movies.
So when
It's
everybody
been a
was
while,
up
though.
about this, I'm like, did y'all forget what the shit he just put out?
But I don't know how Artemis Fowl happened.
It was
he did Thor. He did Thor was good.
That's how that happened.
What was that, Zach?
It was Disney fucking with it. That's what happened.
Oh, then you can't really blame him. It's
You know what? He put his name on it. He could have Alan Smithied it.
Yeah,
I will say though, this cast is phenomenal, and I did not realize I could fall more in love with Gal Gadot than what I did already with Wonder Woman. But yeah,
Can I just say one thing that's a little unfair?
What?
You?
And I know this is, it's a trailer. Is it just me or does the CG look really bad?
See, I was gonna say that myself. Is some aspects
looks really bad.
Like once in a while, I think this looks like it's gonna be a very beautiful to look at movie, and then I'll see some really bad CG that's obviously green screened, and I'm like,
I'll leave some bad CG in the trailer, especially the first trailer.
It's a first trailer.
Right there was a shot on the boat that looked like crapola.
You could tell there's a big old green screen right behind it, and it's a set. And like everyone's getting hyped for this, and I'm like, man, I just don't see it.
Well, but the cast is so good.
I don't care. The cast the cast in movie 43 was fucking good too, but that was a giant piece of shit.
Was it? I don't remember the cast being that good.
Like Hugh Jackman and Kate
got a lot of names
and Halle Berry.
Real
good cast, but that movie's awful.
I mean, I'm not excited.
I don't care about a good cast.
I'm not excited. I mean, after watching the trailer, I don't have any background on the book or anything like that, but watching the trailer, I was not excited for it at all. Didn't recognize anybody until I saw the names. I was like, oh yeah.
You didn't recognize Gal Gadot?
I didn't. She looks like
she looks beautiful in it though.
She looks like Gal Gadot.
I don't recognize her. She looks so different to me.
Wow.
Really?
Like, I didn't recognize her.
I mean, she looks maybe less muscular or something. Maybe she didn't work out for this one like Wonder Woman.
Well, I wonder, wasn't she? No, never mind.
I don't know.
I wasn't jazzed about Murder on the Orient Express. So when it's like, would you like more? I'm like, I don't really care.
I wasn't impressed with that movie either.
I haven't seen that one, so I can't comment. But I know for Tina,
I enjoyed it.
This is your area of
I thought it was fine.
You like these books.
I will say, out of Death on the Nile and The Murder on Orient Express, out of those two books, I got more bored reading Murder on the Orient Express. So that's why I've really been looking forward, because out of those two, like, more well-known Hercule Poirot books, Death on the Nile has always been one of my favorites.
I felt like, because I was gonna say, I felt like when watching Murder on the Orient Express, I haven't read it. The ending, like the solve,
the reveal is so well known. It's just like,
well, actually, no, I didn't know the reveal because like I didn't know the story, but it was too sweet. It was too wholesome, basically how it worked out, and it's like I liked the lead into that, and
I try to separate myself from that to some degree though, because of the era where the kind of the storytelling is from.
I mean, I get that, but I thought if it's not that saccharine going into the sequel, going into this next book, I think I'll be more interested in.
Well, Tina, let me ask you this, because you read the book Murder on the Orient Express and then seeing the movie. Did you like the book better?
Books are almost always better.
Now, keep in mind, for Murder on the Orient Express, it's been like years since I've read it, so I didn't reread it when I went to go see the movie. But from my recollection, I liked certain aspects of the book better, but the aspects that I really liked from the book were enhanced with the movie. So I'm really, like I said, I'm really looking forward to this one because I loved almost all of Death on the Nile. There's like one little bit that gets a little boring in the book, but it's like maybe 5 pages. But Death on the Nile, by far,
from the trailer we watched.
From the trailer,
you see the aspects from the book that you're excited.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So when I was a kid, I've never read any of the Agatha Christie books, but when I was a kid, I remember, late night TV, seeing 10 Little Indians, which is my favorite, and some other movies from her series of books, and that part of it, because watching those at my grandma's house, staying up too late or whatever, that part is the part that kind of intrigues me. And I do like the cast in this one. So
and I will say, for going back to Nico's part on the ending being too wholesome, Murder on the Orient Express was one of the very few Agatha Christie books that ever had that kind of an ending, as far as like motive or whatnot. So not too spoilery, hopefully.
The only thing that I really wish with this movie, and I kind of felt this way with Murder on the Orient Express too, is if you're going to bring back this old style of storytelling, I kind of wish you'd bring back some old Hollywood too. You know, but this is, to me, and maybe it's the trailer, maybe it's like Nico says, it feels like cheap Hollywood to me.
I was going to say, I mean,
it's great, but they don't actually shoot on location. It doesn't look like a lot of the sets were actually built. It looks like
we've talked about it. We talked about in recent shows about where Congress is starting to allow studios to buy theater chains again. So maybe we are getting old Hollywood.
Oh my God! Not that
old Hollywood and not the way we wanted.
Right, exactly. But yeah,
the monkey paw. Be careful what you wish for.
Make Hollywood
like,
great again.
If you're gonna do old Hollywood, do it like Tarantino did for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Build the sets, build the backgrounds, build all that stuff. Even if it doesn't have that much depth, you know, I would actually even appreciate, like, I got this movie coming that I ordered physical media called Sukiyaki Western Django.
Hey.
I don't know if you have seen that movie. It is a Takeshi Miike riff on the Westerns. And there's some
Quentin Tarantino.
with Quentin Tarantino in it, yeah. But there's some painted backgrounds in that movie that are just obvious. Like, hey, look, painted background, you know. But you know what? It feels like old Western to me in that way. And I would be fine if they built a set and then did a matte painting in the background or something. That would be cool. That would be cool. I would just like to see that.
Death on a Nile expect to go to theaters?
Yes.
So far, it says October, and by October,
yeah.
it's running. So yeah, it's expected to. We'll see how it goes.
Well, speaking of old Hollywood, I know the 80s aren't too terribly old, but
I mean, it's only like 40 years.
Many studios have been putting new spins on established classics, especially those from the 80s. From Fright Night to The Karate Kid, it appears that no film is off the table when it comes to a potential remake. Now, it appears that a classic John Hughes film is getting a revamp, and Kevin Hart and Will Smith have been recruited to play a couple of fan favorite roles. Paramount Pictures is currently developing a remake of the 1987 comedy Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, reports Deadline. It is also reported that Kevin Hart and Will Smith have been tapped to play the lead roles in the road trip comedy. Now, this film is set to be co-produced by Smith's Westbrook Studios and Hart's Heartbeat Productions. The script is being penned by Brooklyn Nine-Nine alum Ayesha Carr, and the project will mark her feature film debut. The original Planes, Trains, and Automobiles starred Steve Martin and John Candy as a pair of mismatched travelers who cross paths as they attempt to get home to loved ones for Thanksgiving. But in the process, plenty of obstacles hamper their efforts and comedic shenanigans ensue. As of right now, it's unclear as to which role Smith and Hart will take on. What's arguably most surprising about this project is that it will mark the first time that Will Smith and Kevin Hart have starred alongside each other in a project. Most know Smith for playing off stars like Martin Lawrence or Tommy Lee Jones, while Hart has forged a strong working and personal relationship with Dwayne Johnson. With this, it'll be exciting to finally see the two team up and combine their comedic talents. However, given the iconic status of Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, some fans of the John Hughes movie may feel uneasy about the prospect of a sequel, and a release date has yet to be reported.
So this whole project is going to entirely depend upon the writers.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not excited for this.
I think
this is a big old nope from me.
Yeah, and I know that's what you posted in our group, and you know it's like a double-edged sword for me because Planes, Trains, and Automobiles is a classic, and I think
hilarious.
And how you said it all hinges on the writers. The original Planes, Trains, and Automobiles worked because of the two actors.
The cast, yeah.
Yeah.
If it wasn't John Candy, if it wasn't Steve Martin, it wouldn't have
worked. It might not have worked.
I'm not worried about Kevin Hart. I'm worried about Will Smith.
I'm honestly not worried about either of them.
He has not done good comedy. I mean, I guess
he had some really entertaining, funny scenes in the new Bad Boys movie.
But
it's more like he hasn't done comedy. Not that when's the last time he was in an actual comedic performance?
Maybe
Men in Black.
Well, Aladdin probably, except Aladdin was in that walled garden, the Disney walled garden.
Yeah, I would. It's a
I would
family
say
film.
Suicide Squad was a pretty funny movie due to how
He
crazy
didn't-
it was.
well,
The thing
he-
is,
comedic.
okay, but the thing is, Will Smith
Winter's
and Kevin
Tale, he was
Hart
pretty
both
funny in
have
that because that was
really
awful.
good movies, but they also have really shit movies.
Mhm.
So it's going to, again, yeah, I agree with Zach. It's going to have to depend on the writing and on the directing, and yeah.
I think Will Smith does better with like improv types.
I would say
usually,
Men in Black 3 was probably his last, I guess.
Yeah.
Stand-up comedian.
Usually, regardless of the quality of the movie itself, his performance is usually entertaining.
Exactly.
The caveat being After Earth. That's the only movie I've ever seen Will Smith be boring in.
I mean, if you want to play like the game of like direct comedy, you'd have to go to like 2005 with Hitch.
Yeah, which just goes to show is like he hasn't done this kind of movie in a long while. So I mean, yeah, maybe he could be rusty, but I don't think he'll. I'm with Steve. I have no problem with the actors. I think
the thing is like Nathan, like you said, it is Will Smith is good in an improv situation. Well, this story in its core is so basic that it's basically going to be an improvised movie in a lot of ways. The comedy parts, I guarantee you, if you look back at the original film and you look at some of the funniest stuff, it was probably made up of the two actors on set. And you know, I've always liked Will Smith. I still like Will Smith. He's done a lot of crappy movies, but the things that he's done that I really like. Kevin Hart was somebody I didn't like when he first came out because I just felt like he was trying to tread, in a space that was, better executed by Chris Tucker, but or even old school Eddie Murphy in some ways. But I've seen him in stuff in the last few years and he's pretty good and he's funny. So
and
these
his
two
comedy
together
specials have gotten a lot better in the recent years.
So these two together is something that I'm interested to see, just not in this movie. I don't even think this movie works now with cell phones and Uber.
Yeah,
you're gonna have to get them away from their cell phones, like scene 2.
Yeah,
but then everybody they encounter.
Everyone would have a cell phone.
Yeah,
or you can
borrow your phone.
Yeah, or you can go buy a burner.
Or it's a period piece.
It'll work. That's cheap, but it works.
That's cheap.
They're not gonna make it a period piece.
No,
I mean,
I think
it does work.
I'd be more sold for it if they made it a period piece.
Yeah,
I would be more intrigued. I wouldn't say I would be more sold.
The thing that's killing me is, and this is, how do you say this? This is Hollywood not taking enough chances
for
new material. Like, they don't want to push this pairing of actors, which are A-list actors, in something completely new. They want to bank off and take a chance, feel like they're taking less of a risk if they bank off an existing property.
Well,
and that means they're fighting two uphill battles. The first one being the whole they don't know each other, they don't know their chemistry, they don't know how to play off of each other, which is going to be an issue. But then they're going to have that other uphill battle of people constantly comparing it to the Steve Martin and John Candy route. I mean, it happens constantly.
It is, it is unavoidable to come up with a comparison due to it being a remake.
Well, and
even if they take the idea of it and take it in their own direction, comparisons are going to be made. Regardless.
Hang on a second. You're talking over.
Katie and I had this conversation the other day that due to COVID and the quarantine, we were hoping that there'd be more of creative. Like when you think back to like the Great Depression and all that, the 20s, Roaring 20s was a huge creative outlet. We're hoping that COVID's going to cause some new ideas to be created, or people have been working on new stuff, not remakes.
No.
I disagree with Zach.
It's going to be the exact opposite.
I disagree with you. I think that there will be some new stuff, but it's going to be on a delay. Movies don't happen immediately. I mean, whatever creative stuff that's happening right now is 2 to 5 years away from us seeing it. So
I would say, if anything, Hollywood is going to go real safe
to begin with, for sure. Because
they're going to recover more into, we need a surefire thing right
now. Here's the thing. They have so much on backup right now. Like 2021, you're going to have stuff that we were supposed to be getting all of 2020. So they have time.
but we'll see. I think I feel like this movie is a mistake, but these actors together in a movie is probably not a mistake. So I'm hoping.
I will wait to form my opinion on this particular movie when I see a trailer.
Now, the writer comes from a show that you guys like. I haven't watched it
yet.
I
love Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
And I hear it's really funny. So maybe this writer has a good take on it that we just aren't thinking of. And
but then again, it comes down to, are you going to follow the writing or are you going to rely on improv?
Well, I mean, a good comedy is a combination of the two.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just like what we always do, Nathan, is I say, give me one time as the script is written and then go fuck around, do something fun, So if you have a good script and you have some great improvisation that you can cut to, we talked about Chevy Chase a while back. He made his entire career in the 80s on improvising stuff, So, I mean, it could be, the two of them could be funny together as long as it's not, I'm tall and you're short, which happens a lot.
That's going to happen.
Yeah.
You know that's going to happen.
But you don't think they would try to one-up
That's
each
Kevin
other?
Hart's career.
They will 100% try to one-up each other, and that's when it'll be good. When you put two good actors or good comedians in a role together and they're competitive with each other, you're more apt to get something really cool, I think, because they're always trying to be a little better than the other guy. So I don't know. Planes, Trains, and Automobiles is one of John Hughes' best movies of his career, though, and to me, it's just so untouchable.
Can you imagine them trying to remake like Breakfast Club?
Breakfast. You know what? You want to know what's weird? Of his movies, Breakfast Club is the most remakeable. It's the most remakeable.
Just keep the script.
Agreed. It's
keep
one of the
the
ones
script.
that is still relatable to any kid who watches it.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I watched, and this is a little bit of a side, but when you asked that question, it just made me think of this. I just got a copy of 16 Candles, and I have not seen that movie since I was a kid. Has anybody else watched this?
One of my favorite movies.
Let me ask you this. When's the last time you watched it?
Probably, I usually try around Christmas, sometime in December each year.
Here it comes.
So,
The last time I saw it was on TBS.
the high point of this movie is a little nerdy guy, fucking a girl when she's drunk off her ass.
Yep,
in a
that
car.
is so bad, but
But that's not even the whole of it. This movie, I mean, when I think back to the innocent era in which the movie was made, it's a movie of it's a movie of that era. But looking at it with modern eyes, it's like, shit, this is basically date rape and all kinds of nastiness happening. It's, what they do to what's his name, the Asian character.
Yeah.
I mean, it's cringe. It's really cringy to watch now. I love Molly Ringwald, so I will keep it and I will watch it again and again. But I mean, I see how some stories should be left in the era they were made. Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, Breakfast Club. There's a couple others that could be remade. Not that one, and not a lot of his movies. Should we move forward?
I guess.
I mean, do you have something else to say?
No, you suggested, can we move forward? And it's like, I guess.
Okay.
He was being a smart ass.
He was being an ass. There wasn't
As
anything
always.
smart in there.
As always. Well, that's true. Here's an interesting story.
All right. Want to see TENET early? You might get a chance. IndieWire reports that advanced ticket sales for a special 3-day preview period of Christopher Nolan's TENET begins this Friday, August 21st, with that preview period starting on Monday, August 31st. Tickets for regular engagements, which starts on September 3rd, will be available on Thursday, August 27th. This is outlined in a contract that WB has sent exhibitors, saying that theaters can have one showing per night per screen no earlier than 5 p.m. For the preview period. Those theaters that screen in premium formats may offer... Oh, actually, that's not the preview period. Those theaters that screen in premium formats may offer a second show on those screens. No, I'm sorry, that is the preview period. It was kind of a confusing story.
It's a little weird, yeah.
Yeah. There are other stipulations for showing TENET in general as well, though. Theaters have to comply with the not yet published but already disseminated safety standards drafted by the National Association of Theater Owners. So they don't even know what that will be yet.
I read another article of what that most likely is.
Okay. They have to provide on-demand information about theaters' reopening activities and consumer messaging. they have to, this is a big one, give a 63% cut of all weeks of the engagement of the film, which is a very high-end ask for Warner Brothers.
Damn.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Tenet must have the largest non-IMAX screen each week unless otherwise agreed. Maximum theater marketing directed to publicizing Tenet at no extra cost to the studio. And the studio requires 3 trailers for upcoming Warner Brothers films before Tenet. And that's not everything, but that's a lot of the big stuff. So if you want Tenet, you gotta pay up to the WB.
Well, I mean, they literally say in there that they don't want Tenet to be used as a tool to pay other films' bills. Like they don't want to pay for the theater's loss of Mulan, for example, which is what it is under the, without saying it.
Yeah.
And I understand why this ask is so high, because they don't have to release Tenet right now, but the theaters want it. So the studio's like, okay, well, if you're going to have it now at such a limited release, then we got to make it worth our while to put it out.
The funny thing is, on the opposite side of the spectrum is Christopher Nolan's like, do not release this direct demand. It's like, this goes in theaters first. And then Warner Bros. Like, hush, Chris, don't worry, we got this.
We got it covered. Now, the thing that I was most proud of in their demands was their requirements on
the safety.
Meeting the COVID-19 standards that the chain that their national organization has required. And one of those things was 100%, which is basically doubling the air filtration in each theater. It was cutting to a certain percentage of seats, a really low percentage, less than 50, I think.
It was 30 or 25.
30 or 25, yeah. So complete cleaning between each screening, including leaving 30 minutes between each screening so that the theater can be cleaned. There's a long list of things that they are requiring, and the fact that the studio even cares to have that, it's pretty cool. It's pretty telling.
Do you think they should wait a couple more weeks before they bring Tenet?
I think the theaters should honestly wait a couple more months before they even open.
Yeah.
I wish Tenet.
But that's not going to happen.
It's not going to happen.
Well, I just get worried that they're releasing it too early and it's going to struggle.
I feel like if they had pushed Tenet, theaters would not open.
Yeah. I mean,
I feel like once Tenet said, okay, we're going to go international and we're going to open, all of a sudden, theaters were like, well, damn it, we got to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
except in New York.
I agree.
But will this, like, if they're doing a limited release of this, and 3, 4, 5 weeks later, will it be on streaming?
No,
they still have their traditional 90-day window.
Yeah, in their speculation in the article, it does say if you have 9 or more screens, it's got to play 12 weeks there.
Yeah.
So if anything, this is not coming to digital for a while.
Yeah.
The minimum 3 months.
And this is,
and they may hold it longer for a re-release when the theaters are in full steam.
Yeah, like once it gets fully re-released, they might say, "Well, hey, we're sending IMAX film prints out," because I can almost assure you that is not happening.
Yeah, and it's interesting when you look at what is coming to, because the theaters are opening this weekend. One of the things that struck me was Bloodshot, which is a movie I hear is really terrible, but that came out
in February.
Yeah, for a split second. Yeah, it came out for a split second.
And it's been available for streaming.
Or 2 weeks. It's been available for streaming. The physical copies are out to buy. You can buy the 4K and everything. But you know what's opening this weekend in the theaters? Bloodshot. So this could easily be a soft opening for Tenet, and they push it again in March of next year. So I don't know when we'll actually see it any other way than in the theaters.
No, the New Mutants is coming out.
The New Mutants is supposedly...
Sure.
You can get the tickets now.
I will believe it when I'm in the theaters and it's showing them.
And pre-order the tickets right now.
Still, what's to say that we gonna sit our butts in the seat and look up at that screen and it's just like new Tenets has been delayed.
I would love if that happened. I would applaud. I would clap. I would so clap so much.
So Zach asked me in the pre-show what we're gonna do. because it looks like, I mean, I haven't seen them yet, but it looks like Tenet will probably come to our IMAX here in the city. And we've had this debate, all of us have, about what we're going to do about theaters. Are we going to go back? What are we going to do?
Yes.
So I've been watching, and I finally figured out exactly the process, like at Regal. I haven't checked AMC because I don't care, but what Regal is doing as far as tickets. So when you buy a ticket from Regal, it blocks off your ticket, your individual ticket, and it blocks off 2 seats on either side of you. So if you buy 2 tickets side by side, you'll get 2 seats on either side of you.
Okay, so one person has to buy those 2 tickets. It's not
one
like
person has to buy those 2 tickets, because you buy your tickets separate. Like if Zach were to buy a ticket for a movie, it would block off 2 seats on either side of him. So the closest I could get to sitting next to him is 2 seats down.
Well, realistically, we would compress, but you know.
Well, but
now, does that also cover the back?
I would move further away from Zach.
Yeah, it's supposed to be staggered, checkerboarded. So there should be a seat to 2 seats behind you and in front of you, also the way it's. And if you look, and I've kind of just been watching to see how it goes.
At least that means no big ass head's gonna be blocking my view.
Exactly. But the trick that I like, and anybody else has thought of this, I'm just going to say it anyway. What I think that we would do if we did go is I would buy a ticket off, we like the center. So I would buy a ticket on purpose off to the left. So it would block off the 2 seats in the center and then 2 seats on either side of me. And then, for example, I would have Zach buy the next closest seat to the right of me and then block off 2 more seats on either side of him. We would have almost an entire row for us two.
But I almost wonder if they're
and then we just compress to the middle.
If they're going to monitor that, like
in the
theater, I have a feeling they'd have ushers come in and.
Although at that point, though, you've bought those seats.
You've bought the seats and they've been blocked off. There's no.
And they've been paid for.
Yeah,
exactly.
But you block the seats. And,
what can they do?
Yeah, and then you end up compressing together.
What can they
could have sold?
But they can't.
More. But they can't. But they could.
They really couldn't, because you bought the number of seats. It's like if you bought the row.
Well, yeah, but the seats don't, like, the number of seats in between don't stagger. So what Nathan's saying is, okay, so say 3 people, me, Zach, Steven, we buy separately, right? That means theoretically that's 8 seats in, like, from end of me to end of Steven. Mm-hmm. But if we compress in the middle, then that means 2 seats, so 4 seats. So that means the next 2 seats away from us, those 2 seats could have been sold.
Could have been. Yeah, but what are they going to do 5 minutes before the movie starts?
This is too much math.
Thing too, you got to think about
is they start worrying about Karens who see this and then they go and try to complain.
The other thing too is if you're worried about yourself and you're worried about checkerboard, like you want it to be checkerboarded, are you willing to sit behind somebody or in front of somebody?
Exactly.
Yeah, but it's like I don't want to be that douche that's like, oh, I'm going to sit right behind you. Obviously, there's a whole row in between, but I don't want to be, I don't want to be approached and be like, hey, yo.
I think the concern that you guys are talking about is a non-concern, because people screw around with buying seats all the time.
Yeah, no, I don't care. I was just trying to.
Yeah, nobody gives a shit about their assigned seat.
Yeah, it's a non-concern at this point once the tickets have been bought. But my big concern right now, and what I've been monitoring so far, is what you can do on the Regal app, and I'm sure you can do this on the AMC app also, is you can go through the ticket buying process all the way to where you pick your seats without buying to see how many have pre-sold. And that's what
nobody is buying.
Nobody. There's no tickets. No one's buying tickets. And I was telling this to Zach, and we were having a conversation about it, is I want theaters to succeed. I want them to do well. But I also like the idea that the theater is empty so that I can go.
But regardless, I'm planning on going to theaters like during the workday.
For sure. The earliest that they can do a showing right now for anything is 1:00. So
I'm like
at 1:00 on a Tuesday.
And I know this is awful, but it's like they're opening up this week, and I'm like, we have Sunday off. We can check the app right before we head over there, but nobody's bought a ticket.
100% what I would do is like you said, 2 hours before the showing. If there's no ticket sold, I'm gonna go.
Or if like it's someone in the far back and I'm gonna be like 10 rows away.
It's no different than going to Walmart at that point.
Yeah.
Plus, Steven's going to sit in the front anyway. No one else is going to sit over there.
If you're
Yeah,
in
with
the, if
his
you're,
blind ass.
yeah, no one's gonna sit with my blind ass. And sit.
Yeah,
Nobody's
but
doing
at
that.
the IMAX,
Except
I
the
mean, you can
people
sit in the
who
middle
love you,
and
which
have
is
a great
nobody.
seat.
At the IMAX, I do sit in the middle.
Yeah, you sit in the middle, you can move a row up. So this kind of sucks. In the IMAX, our IMAX, we have a seat that we always sit at.
Mm-hmm.
We have blocked off that whole row, so we have to sit in the aisle in front of that one.
Which is okay. It's fine.
Well, I mean, the annoying thing about that is the seats we sit at are like dead center. So if you have to pee, you can just stand up and go because
got plenty of room.
You got plenty of room, and there's these two sections, so it's not one long big row. So now you have to sit in this one long big row. So if there's anyone next to you, if you have to go pee, you have to go through let's say it's checkerboarded out. You have to cross through 10 people.
So here's the big concern too is, and I was watching Cuomo speak about this in New York because he's not going to allow the theaters there to open. And his point is a valid one. Is you know because the pushback he was getting, well, you're going to open shopping malls and you open Walmarts and places like that. The difference is you don't sit stagnant in one place for 2 solid hours in those stores. You're moving around and you're in and out. So
plus with shopping, you have your mask on because there's no excuse to take it off. Whereas with movie theaters, you have concessions, you have popcorn, you have soda. You have
Dude,
candy.
if it was me, I know this sucks. Close concessions, man.
Well, so they're not going to close concessions. I'm not sure if they're having popcorn though. I'm not sure because I know everything is you don't go to the concession stand. You pre-order through the app.
Dude, if it's drinks only, I will absolutely get a drink. Stick the straw through my mask.
Yep.
Perfect.
So so I mean, there is the distinct possibility that I might set the entire movie because I have some masks that I can wear.
Or
I can do it
like
if I have
little
to.
pieces of candy, like M&Ms or something. Dump the bag into your mask and just throw it all over.
This is gonna be like a horse with your feeding.
Yeah. So my friend made that joke, and she said that she's just dumping her mask full of M&Ms and walking around the store chewing on M&Ms the whole time, like a
the giant bag of popcorn.
The fudge brownie M&Ms because they're fucking delicious.
I want to try them. So let me ask you guys this: with these situation in consideration, what's your limit? How many people? What's your cutoff limit in the theater before you say?
If there's 5 tickets already sold, I'm not going.
That's unfortunately I'm probably in about the same spot.
It depends entirely upon the size of the theater. If it's a really small theater and you can tell there's it's not a big auditorium, obviously not a lot. But if it's as big as our IMAX theater, or which is pretty much only the only place I'm going to be going, it's going to be IMAX or like something very premium.
I
where
think
there's
I'm in
a lot of seats in there, and it's going to depend upon, like with our IMAX, there's an upper section and a lower section. If I'm going to be in the lower section and there's like 4 people, 10 people even up in the upper section, I'm not going to really be worried because it's so big. I'm going to be 40 feet away from the nearest person.
Well, I'm not going to lie. I'm probably going to let y'all be the guinea pigs for like the first week or 2 and see how you all feel. And if you
I get tested every Monday, so
I'm honestly kind of in Nathan's boat. It's like I'm with Nathan and Zach. It's like if I go IMAX, far away from everybody, but otherwise I don't really want to go to a theater right now, which is sad because I really want to go to a theater right now.
Yeah, the only thing I plan to see is something in IMAX.
October.
It definitely too depends on the genre movie. If it's a comedy and I know people are eating concessions and they're laughing and hacking and doing all stuff, I'm not doing
like
it.
that.
The best movie would be a horror movie because everybody's just like already covering their face. It's like
So I'm right there in the middle. I do agree with Tina. I generally feel like for me, if there are between 5 and 10 tickets sold, I'm just not going to go, because the thing that you have to remember is not just sitting in the theater. It's coming into the theater, coming out of the theater, going to the bathroom, all that shit. I want to keep a monitor on, because if there's 5 tickets, 10 tickets in my theater, and it's an 8-screen theater, what is that? 35 or 40 people in the same building coming and going to the bathroom and concession. And so that's probably the same space as you, but also with Zach and Nico, where typically I would fucking normally go see Bloodshot because I just want to go to the theater. But at this point, it's for Tenet, it's for New Mutants because it's required at this point. Yeah. And maybe the new Bond movie in November because that's required theater viewing.
Well, that's IMAX as well because they shot it with IMAX. Yeah,
it's going to be
only things
IMAX
I plan to see in a theater are IMAX. So
yeah, here's where I'm weary too because I feel like since COVID, I feel like a lot of people canceled their subscriptions to like Regal or AMC. I feel like
mine too.
Has been a drop.
I'm curious actually if that's
hang on. Nico, hang on. Let him finish the thought.
Like I fear walk-up people. Like people just like, okay, I'm gonna walk and go buy a ticket, and that's usually can be 20 minutes before, 15 minutes before. So
that is the dice you roll.
Yeah. Well, I will not be afraid to get up and walk out.
I am curious though about how many people would have canceled the memberships because they just didn't charge.
Yeah.
Like Regal only now just said, hey guys, we're gonna give you a month free and then start charging again. But like they shut off charging.
Yeah, I think in like March. April or May, they're like, hey, we're not gonna charge.
Yeah, so
but just like with gyms, they weren't charging us for gyms, but they were seeing a high influx at Planet Fitness of people just canceling even though they weren't charging.
I feel like the real drop off of the subscriptions is going to happen in the next few months.
Yes.
I mean, maybe some did, but it becomes a thing you don't really think about. The difference with a lot of gyms, and I know it's not this way with Planet Fitness, but it is with a lot of others where you're in a contract. So if you can get out of that contract, you get out because you don't know when you're going back. But like I go to the Y, it's month to month. So I didn't really think about it until they wanted to start charging, and then I dropped it because I know I'm not going back to the gym until next year.
Yeah.
So,
I will say, even though Planet Fitness doesn't have a contract, you have to go physically into the store to cancel your contract.
Ooh,
you do.
That sucks.
Yeah.
Well, you know what else you can do? You can just block those charges on your credit card, and they'll cancel it for you.
You know what else you could do? You could just stay at home and watch new series of Avatar or the new series of Last Airbender live action.
Almost
segue.
All right, so we're getting into TV. Before we hit the story, do we want to talk about TV?
Yeah, let's talk about what we're watching. Go ahead, you guys. Get all excited.
Nico and I caught up on Handmaid's Tale, so we're ready for season 4, which has been pushed back to 2021, we do believe.
That season. Dude, wow. Dude. So much.
Nico and I, like, that last episode, especially when, like, the kids are coming.
Ooh, you started cutting out, Tina.
You're cutting out. You're frozen.
I think you're froze.
Off, and, like, the dad, and we're just sitting there, like.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Tina,
oh.
She did.
Tina,
you're freezing, Tina.
Damn it, I should have screenshotted that.
But tell me when I'm back.
You're back.
Okay.
You're good.
But no, Nico and I were sitting there and like we're both just like crying. I was like, fuck this show. He goes, fuck this show so bad, man. So it was so good.
That's why I've been after you for so long to please finish it, because it's just it's so good where it's left off, and now
we just hit such a major stress point, but because we told you where we stopped
very
at.
Stressful.
And once we came down from that and we were moved and everything, he's like, all right, let's get back, and then we plowed through it, and it's good. It was so good.
I am looking forward to season 4.
That's what I love about Handmaid's Tale is like you get through and they have some really dramatic mid-season moments, and you get to the end and it's super dramatic and it still leaves you on like, no.
But it is very humorless. It is a dark, humor-free show.
I will say though, because again, I read the books, both The Handmaid's Tale and the one that came out last year, the Tenets, or this year. Either way. And in the books, Aunt Lydia is...
Don't be spoiling the story now. Don't kill them.
Because there's no way they're going to do it. There's no way. They can't. But
I would
is one of the ones that's like really cool, but it's...
I would definitely pump the brakes on that one. Just in case.
Yeah. But does anybody... Wait, before you go back to it, does anybody else think that they should be wrapping it up, though?
I think next season should be the last one.
Yeah, I don't want them to take it too far because it's one of those. I don't think you can maintain this level of intense drama for so long.
They've already confirmed season 4 is the last season.
Oh, perfect.
I didn't know that.
4 seasons is so good.
4 seasons is good, and especially for the show because all the seasons have been strong and plus it's like at this point where season 3 ends and all of the main cast is so scattered compared to where they've been in the last few seasons. I don't know how they can keep it going without.
I am looking forward to this.
Well, that also tells me they put full thought into a conclusion.
Yeah.
So that tells me
it's not like we have to end it now.
Like Nikki
or it's not like we want to move on to another franchise. Let's wrap it up in a season.
Yeah, so that means they have an entire season to tell the ending story.
Yeah.
That's a good thing.
But another one that we watched the first episode of Lovecraft Country.
Yeah, so I watched that too.
Haven't.
Yeah. I flipping loved it. It is made for me, apparently. So
it is.
Nico, what did you think?
I really enjoyed it. I think the thing I really enjoyed the most out of it is the fact that it's not taking place necessarily inside a Lovecraft story or being a Lovecraft. Lovecraft as an author exists, like Lovecraft books, and I love that the main character is a fan of pulp fiction, not the Tarantino movie, but pulp literature, like those Robert E. Howard books, like John Carter and Mars and stuff like that, and it's fantastic. And I also love how the show blatantly calls out Lovecraft on his insane racist behavior and attitude.
It was really funny because one of the things that made Nico laugh the hardest was just commentary that I said. I was like, oh, I could really go for a Lovecraftian horror monster just eating a racist right now. And he cracked up.
Yeah, it cracked up because stuff happens. I was the only thing I would say is I honestly was kind of surprised that what we do get to see of the otherworldly bits as blatantly as we do. I would have thought that would have been held back later. It was a bit more upfront than I would have expected. Not that I don't think it's a knock against it. It's just I kind of thought they would tease that along a little bit more. But I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to the rest of the season. I think it's off to a really good start.
And I think the characters are really well done.
I guess it's good that I watched it so that there's a differing opinion.
Okay.
I thought it was okay. I have a short fuse for movies that are shows, even shows worse than movies in a way, that live and breathe off referencing other works. And it seems like every character in this thing is so well read. Everybody has read every fucking thing. And there's always a reason to reference another book. You know, oh, here's a quote from this book, or here's a quote from this story, or I read this. And I'm like, it is a little heavy-handed for me in this first episode. Now, I'm not a no on it. I'm intrigued enough with what could happen that I'm with it, but I also felt like it was very connect the dots in a way, like everybody knew the adventure they needed to go on and knew where they needed to go and they knew how to get there. It wasn't the challenges that they had in the story were related to things that I thought were well done, like racism and stuff like that. That was their real challenge. It wasn't not knowing what to do, you know, and in this kind of incredible, like crazy situation, there should be some times where you just don't know what to do, but everybody knew what to do. The only walls that they had thrown up in front of them were the walls of the era in which the characters exist, where racism is not just a thing. It's a thing where you could die.
Yeah, and it does take place in like the 1950s.
Yeah, so and that stuff is really well done. It's just, it's almost like here's a map and a guide on what you need to do to get to the end of the story.
I felt like they did that to just kind of not meander too much in the setup. That they wanted to get to where the story really starts at the end of the show, at the beginning of the next show. I felt like they just didn't want to really sit around in that build up for too long.
That's world building and character building, though.
Yeah,
is that they took out.
But I can see that point. I mean, the world building, world building itself, I don't think was a problem, just because it is our world. I got that across pretty well. I understand the character bit, how everyone is very erudite and well read, and I I was fine with it. I like it. I like that these are smart characters that are interested in literature.
You want to know a comparison, the easiest comparison, and maybe you'll get where I'm going, where I'm not, is it's the same reason that I don't like Clerks, because people that are in this era of time, existing the way they exist, and you're trying to ground me in it, that's not how they are. That's not how we speak to each other. We don't speak in book references to each other. That's not how people do. You know, it feels
depending on
not grounded, you know? And I
wouldn't say it's as bad as Clerks, but I understand with that reference.
It's not. It's definitely not as bad as Clerks, for sure.
I don't know. I guess it depends on like the group that you're in, because me and a couple of my friends, especially at work, we do talk in book references, so...
I know, but you guys aren't being chased by monsters either, though. That's the thing. You know, I don't think you would have this...
Sales managers, monsters, they're the same thing.
Yeah, but you get my meaning, though. If you're in that much jeopardy, your book reference...
2020 pretty much is a Lovecraftian tale. Let's get
it really is.
Now, with my negative said, I will say I like the cast a lot. I like the actors. I think they're all really good. I especially like, and I can't think of her name right now, but the female lead in the ensemble.
Yeah.
I like her as an actress a lot. I think she's super good. And I think there's more real set building in this than there was in the Murder on the trailer we watched earlier. There's real sets and props and things that feel...
It looks good.
Yeah.
It
looks real good.
It's very stylish and cool looking. So I'm going to stick with it. It looks like in the previews for the next episode, shit gets crazy.
Yeah. I think that was the preview for the entire season.
It was like coming up this season.
Yeah, so I'm with it. Go ahead.
Hearing you guys talk about it, I'll check it out this week. But I have to mention, Michelle had recommended a show on Netflix called I'm Sorry. And it is really
you watch that.
Fun adult humor. And then another friend of mine, Monique, recommended a show on Netflix called Love on the Spectrum. Definitely check it out. Like 4 episodes. So.
I want to go into another show that I saw. Tina didn't. Perry Mason.
I've been waiting for an update on this because I'm trying to decide whether
he meant to do one last week, but he forgot.
Yeah, we had a lot last week. We have a lot this week. I don't know who the show is for. I keep trying to think about it. I don't know who the show is for. No one.
What platform is it on?
It's on HBO.
Oh,
yeah. So like Perry Mason, the storied legal drama starring Raymond Burr and other people have played the role too, but Raymond Burr's the famous one. So this old show and TV movies going up from like the 60s up until like early 90s when Burr passed or something. Like the people who like that show aren't watching this. They aren't watching HBO high-minded drama. This is not their kind of show. And then the people who do watch that show don't care who Perry Mason is. So the brand recognition is pointless. I don't understand that. The story, I think it's okay. It's essentially, it's an origin piece. It's the Batman Begins of Perry Mason. Perry Mason isn't even a defense attorney until the end of the show. He's a private investigator and something happens to the defense attorney that he's working for, and he has to step in the shoes and do it. It's like, I'll just do this for my job. And it's the murder aspect of the mystery. You know who did it. It's just basically, how do we solve who did it? I think the ending is very unsatisfactory in terms of the result of how the court case goes. I think it's intentionally that. It's supposed to be, it doesn't always, the good guy doesn't always, the bad guy doesn't always go to jail, the good guy doesn't always win, all this stuff. But I don't feel like the show was building to that message. So that's kind of a weird offset. I think the performances are great. Everyone in it does a good job. I think puts in great roles. So yeah, I just don't get it. And I get the feeling there's going to be a second one because now it's built up. I don't know.
Are you enjoying it?
I want to say I enjoyed watching the performances. I didn't hate it. It was a fine show. I liked it well enough, but I don't see why this would be a continual thing that HBO would do. I'm really curious.
I've been really conflicted about it because in the trailers and stuff, the quality of the production looks really good.
Yeah.
But based off, like the Raymond Burr, I don't know the original show, obviously, but I remember repeats of when when he was older from the 80s where they redid it. And I don't mind a procedural in a film, like A Few Good Men, for example, but I don't care for procedurals in TV. I don't like courtroom dramas. So that's what it should be if it's Perry Mason. But this doesn't look like that. I mean, this looks more like what Dick Tracy should be or something.
It kind of is. So, less pulpy.
Without the gadgets.
It is. It's not really courtroomy until the last 3 episodes, I think. And it is one cohesive story and mystery and court case over the episodes. It's not an episodic kind of thing. So I think that helps it. It's basically an extended TV movie.
And then one other show that we started was season 2 of Fruits Basket for our anime people.
Fruits Basket.
So many anime fans watch this.
Everybody loves
this. No.
And people love Fruits Basket. They do. I have never watched any of it, but okay.
It's a very endearing, cute high school friendship show.
I read like the first manga, and I was like,
I'm out.
There's too many friendly feelings for Zach.
Yeah, probably for me too.
It didn't reach me. I was just like, it's whatever.
Nathan, you got anything else that you've been watching?
Just Big Brother.
Oh yeah, you're all into the Big Brother. Yeah. Zach, what about you? You watch anything?
I watched something. I don't know if I'd call it a movie. It was 50 minutes long.
Okay.
It's a movie on Shudder called Host.
Oh.
It is a found footage movie based around Zoom, a Zoom meeting call.
I heard kind of good things.
Found footage, spooky demon ghost.
Oh.
All right.
Yeah.
It
So
should be better than
automatically
Unfriended.
right there, you're going to know whether you like it or you don't. Spooky demon ghosts don't get me. So I'm just like,
paranormal meets Unfriended.
I will
Yeah,
say,
right. Paranormal Activity.
Unfriended
you're
was
not
paranormal.
wrong, but I will say this one was a little bit more subtle than those. Like when shit goes down, and since it's only 50 minutes, they cut out the bullshit and it's quick right to it. I'd recommend it, I guess, if you're into spooky demon ghosts found footage.
I love spooky demon ghost found footage.
I am not into spooky demon ghosts. So
really
the
like
thing
we
I
also watched...
really don't like about spooky demon ghost is that there's no rules.
Yeah.
Also, this drink is really hitting me hard, so just FYI.
We also watched Unfriended.
I'm sorry. Why?
Yeah,
Why?
That was Tina.
I suffered through that film, so you don't have to.
Because I wanted to see stupid people get murdered. So.
That happened.
It's like I can
Sometimes
recommend
you need
15
to watch
other
a
movies
movie
better
where you
than that
root
piece
for
of
the
shit.
ghost. Sometimes you
Okay.
just need to root for the ghost.
I did.
Zach,
Hey guys, I got a blender.
Hang on. Wait, what did you say?
I said, Zach, what are you rooting for?
Zach's rooting for himself because he's greedy and
No,
stuff.
I think that was supposed to be a
story.
segue. That's a segue.
Every person in that movie was a fucking
was a nice
horrible
try.
person.
It was
A
a
terrible
good- it was a
person.
good- It was a good try.
This show is going.
Yeah, because there's too much alcohol happening on Zach's side.
Because booze, I had one drink, but
Okay, how about
I've had 2 months.
how about that story? How about that story, Zach?
Avatar. The last
yeah.
Bender.
I won't even talk about what I've been watching. We need to move on.
Yeah, so to all Avatar fans, we might have some bad news regarding the Netflix live action show coming up. In an open letter to all the fans, both Brian these people need to get better names. Brian and
Wow.
Rude.
Marino,
Rude.
And Culturesmash
both
will never get
have
sponsored.
exited the show. Quote, when we were brought on, an enjoy announcement for the series, Netflix said that it was committed to honoring our vision for this retelling and to support us on creating the series, and we expressed them how excited we were for the opportunity to helm. Technically, they were brought on as showrunners and as executive producers, and in June of 2020, they have decided to leave the production, not only due to creative differences, but directly because of it. Wait, where is it? It says, I've chosen to lead this project. It was the hardest professional decision I have ever had to make, and certainly not one that I took lightly. It was specifically around, basically, Netflix wanted to change shit, and both the showrunners and creators were like, no. To me, this is the end of my excitement for this series. As a fan of Avatar: The Last Airbender, it was the only thing that kept me going, like, as in any involvement for this. It's like, oh, well, Netflix is making a live action version of Avatar. It's like, oh God, here we go again. Like, we did this in 2010 with M. Night Shyamalan. I don't know if I could do this again. And
yeah, but so let me ask you this.
Well, the creators are on. It's like, okay, well, if they're on, they're not going to fuck up the main character's name by saying his name is Ong. It's Aang, okay? That's how bad we've had it. And
wait. So these showrunners were part of the animated series?
They were the ones who created it. They were the creators of the franchise.
Yeah, they're the guys that came up with the whole thing.
Yeah.
So the fact that they're like, we do not like the direction Netflix is taking this, we are leaving.
I'm out.
I'm out. And they say in their letter, it's like, you may end up enjoying this series, but it is not what we had in mind, and it is not what we want. And it's I'm out.
Let me play devil's advocate for you for just a second. I mean, it's easy for me to do because I have zero investment in this whatsoever.
Yeah, who here has seen Avatar?
Me.
Okay, so 3 of 5.
I watched a couple of episodes. Now, you will be happy to know I am closely watching the complete series box set on Mercari to buy. And I'm just going to have it and binge it because
it's on sale right now, isn't it? It was like $20, something like that.
For the complete series?
I got it for Nico.
I've got it on Blu-ray. I've got both.
$24.99 right now on Amazon.
So I will say this. I think for Steven, probably getting into the start of The Last Airbender, maybe a little bit rougher, because it definitely starts as a kid's show, and it stays a kid's show for the whole thing. But
maybe that's the problem, because I've seen the first few episodes before, and I'm like, who gives a fuck?
They're trying to find their footing of what they want to be, and
but
honestly, they don't find it
the
until
last
season
couple
2.
of episodes of season 1, and then from there it's just snowballs.
So is this like?
Well, I think ultimately.
Wait. Watch me trigger Zach. So is this like watching Buffy the Vampire Slayer, where you have to sit through the first season to get to the good stuff?
I haven't seen Buffy, so
yeah, but you love it.
But yes, I think it's kind of similar to that. There is good stuff in the first season, but I kind of liken it to, I don't like to, but the Harry Potter franchise, and where it kind of ages up with audience.
Okay.
Because the franchise does age up with audience.
Better.
It does it way better.
Think of it like this: season 1 is much younger, like 8 years old.
Yes,
but it does a huge portion of the world building to set up. It's like without that, if you just like, I'm just gonna go straight into season 2. It's like you've missed, like, if there's a 7-day journey, you're coming in at day 3.5. It's like, there's this whole third missing.
And then when you get to the sequel series, Legend of Korra, it's definitely
just skip it. Don't watch it. It's awful.
Shut your dirty mouth.
Oh, it's so bad.
Can we mute him?
Korra's great.
Can we mute him?
Korra is garbage. Korra is a Mary Sue.
What?
Okay. So wait.
You gotta
wait. This is a separate argument. So let's get back to the issue at hand, though. And I just want to play devil's advocate for your complaint real quick.
Yeah.
Because we know this as creatives, but sometimes when you're the creator of something, you get too close to it. And when something moves from one medium to the next, whether it's book to film or animated show to film or animated show to live action series, things need to happen. Things need to change. Normally, and sometimes, and the one who will tell you this the most, that took them the most time to learn it, is Stephen King. Sometimes things have to change.
Normally,
and there's still a possibility that this could come out okay.
Normally, I would be right there with you. However, we've had a live action adaptation of this series so far.
And it's universally known to suck. I don't know anybody that actually thinks
they couldn't say the main character's name properly.
And no one.
But you're saying, well, as a
good.
creative, you might need to make changes. Fuck that. What I'm saying
Sometimes
is,
you do.
Foundational material doesn't need to change.
So wait. So
the foundations don't need to change. However,
that's not always true either. Zach's favorite movie of all time is really different from the book. Really different.
There's a
from
book.
The book.
There's a book of House-U.
No, your favorite movie is The Shining, bitch. Stop acting.
The Shining is completely different from the book.
Yes,
it is,
Shining,
and
it doesn't even pretend.
And they are both equally amazing works that are very different.
Because one was done by Stanley Kubrick and the other was done by M. Night Shyamalan.
Well, the point is, it just this information alone isn't enough to tell me that.
There are rumors circulating right now suggesting that Netflix they wanted to age up the crew. It's fine, kids to teens, totally get it, but they wanted to make it more violent, bloody. And again, this is complete rumor. There's nothing to source this.
That's surprising.
I've heard.
The main character is known to be a pacifist.
Yeah, they wanted to make it more violent, bloody, and then they wanted to add a love triangle between Zuko, Katara, and Aang.
I mean, that's already there.
No, it's not. No, it's not. Zuko is never a love interest.
Hang on. Wait.
Depends on which fan fiction you read.
Hang on a second.
Yeah, I'm not reading fan fiction. I'm reading
shut the fuck up. What did you say?
I'm like, but if it's not in the creator's vision or like passion, I don't think it should be forced.
How about this? It was so bad that they left.
Yeah, I mean, it is scary.
The thing, though.
It is scary.
But like I said, that's their right. If it's not in their vision or what they want done, they have every right to leave it.
Yeah. They can leave. Ultimately, though, I mean, this is not going to. It could stop it, but it doesn't have to stop it because while they're the creators, they don't own it.
I'll still give it maybe a shot, depending on what I hear from people I trust. Zach's not one of them. From people I trust.
I'm just really worried we're about to get another Death Note out of Netflix.
Oh my god, that was terrible.
I just really have this bad feeling we're about to get another one, and by God,
I'm not gonna lie, I watched all of the Death Note from Netflix. So.
Oh, not me.
I think I made it 40 minutes, and I wanted to kill myself.
I have a weird talent for powering through awful garbage.
That explains our relationship.
That's true. It does.
But it was in my
so
brain.
She's the top. Okay.
It was open. I had to go for it. But speaking of remaking other franchises.
Yes, on August 14th, Peacock confirmed to E! News that a Clueless reboot is in development. The new series will center around Dion rather than Cher. That it's described as a baby pink and bisexual blue tinted, tiny sunglasses wearing, oat milk latte, and an Adderall-filled look at what happens when Cher disappears and her lifelong number 2 Dion steps into her Air Jordans. The Dion-centered Clueless will follow the high schooler as she faces the pressures of becoming the new popular girl. Not to mention, there is a mystery of what happened to Cher. Jordan Redout and Gus Hickey will serve as the show's writers and will also executive produce alongside Scott Rudin, Robert Lawrence, both of the film's originals producers. Corinne Brinkroff, Ellie Bush, and Tiffany Grant of CBS Television Studios is producing the reboot.
So, does that mean it's set in the 90s?
Yeah, I guess so.
Period pieces. That's the way to go. Period pieces.
So from the whole article, what I gathered about it, it's going to be modern based off the description. It's going to be modern. It's just going to be a new set of Cher and Dion.
See, if it was set in the 90s, I might find it to be...
Yeah, if like Alicia Silverstone goes missing, let's do it.
Yes.
You can get Paul Rudd to come back. He looks exactly
Well, then you would have to get Stacey Dash to play Dion, and she's too old to play a high school character. So...
Well, I mean...
The only trouble you'd have is Brittany Murphy. You just Ouija board her.
Yeah, that is not happening. I don't know. I think this is a weird decision in a lot of ways because, first of all, I like Clueless. I have the steelbook here. I
have not seen Clueless.
It's a cute movie, and it's a movie. We talked about this when the steelbook came out. The whole thing set on.
I've always been a fan of like.
I mean, it sets on Alicia Silverstone's shoulders.
Yeah, it's basically if you know Jane Austen's Emma, it's that. just in Valley Girl.
Yeah.
It's a fun movie. I think it could be a great series. I think they could do a Clueless series and just give a whole different branding of names.
The only problem is
they
Amy
also did a
Heckerling.
Clueless series.
I was going to say Amy Heckerling, who directed Clueless. If you don't know, what should make Clueless the movie worth your time is that it's the same person that brought us Fast Times at Ridgemont High. This is not that. Fast Times is still her best, Amy Heckerling's best movie. But she produced the TV series, and it still failed. So, I mean, they're going to do an additional TV series. I don't know. I mean, I don't know if I like the franchise without Alicia Silverstone, and I know she's too old to do anything now in that way.
I mean, unless they brought her in as like some educator, but the story's not even focused about her character Cher. It's going to be focused on Dion. So
yeah. You mean like what is that show that everybody liked, Veronica Mars or something, where I guess she graduated, but then she comes back to the school to do something else or whatever. I don't know. I think this has a lot against it, because the other thing that was interesting about the movie Clueless was it was making a statement about young people in that era.
Well, and weren't they also seniors in the movie? So
yes.
How can Cher just disappear and then she become the new hot girl?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. So
no, they weren't seniors, because part of it was that Cher just got her driver's license, or Stacey Dasher's character just got her driver's license. So they were just 16.
Okay.
Yeah. So I mean, they would technically.
But they were already looking at colleges and stuff.
They were looking at like college dates for sure. So I don't know. I don't know. It didn't say who's going to show it though, did it? The article.
Peacock.
Oh, Peacock.
Yeah.
My Peacock.
So speaking of Peacock, has anybody seen the Peacock advertisements that are all over like Hulu and stuff?
I've seen some, yeah.
Baby.
Is anybody? So like their advertisement really bothers me because it says bingy cringy, and I'm like, do you really want to be that channel or that service that's cringeworthy? Yeah. Is that really what you want? But that's their tag.
Why you like shaming people who are binging, yo? Sometimes we have our guilty pleasures. Let me binge watch.
Right? Let me be myself. I don't know. I guess we'll see. It might get my my one episode try. Maybe up to 3.
Yeah.
Although the problem with Peacock right now for me is they say it's free, but it is not free. Has anybody looked at Peacock?
No.
No.
So the way Peacock is right now is it's like the way Hulu was when it first started. Where anything you want to watch, they give you the first 5 to 7 episodes of something of a season, and then after that you're cut off. You got to pay.
That sucks.
Basically, I think in total they give you about 300 hours of free programming, and then that's it. Then you got to pay. And
it is free for the first 300 hours.
Exactly. And I just think they should know that, Hulu's been successful because they evolved beyond that. They don't play that like weird mind game with people. So
yeah.
I remember when Hulu was like, here's a movie clip you can watch.
Right. The only thing that I remember when Hulu first started, I would go there because they would let you have Hell's Kitchen if I missed an episode. I'd go watch it over there. Yeah. That was about it. All right.
Speaking of Hulu, Hulu has put in development Mexican Gothic, a drama series based on the Silvio Moreno Garcia's best-selling horror thriller novel from Kelly Ripa and Mark Consuelo's Milojo Productions, an ABC signature where the company has had a deal. Milojo acquired the rights to develop the fiction fantasy book for television in a competitive situation. Published by Del Rey in June, Mexican Gothic follows Noemi Taboada, I always have trouble reading that, a young socialite who travels to the Mexican countryside and the mountains of Hidalgo in hopes of rescuing her cousin, who has recently married into a reclusive mining family after receiving a frantic letter in the mail. Noemi seeks to unveil the family's violent and menacing secrets, but her confidence is quickly threatened, and there may be no escaping the walls of her strange new home.
Isn't this the same plot as Rambo: Last Blood?
Oh, God.
From what I've read in the book so far, it's much better. Much better.
That's not a high bar. That is not a high bar.
Not a high bar, yeah.
A week ago, Ripa recommended the book on her Instagram followers, calling it sublime horror for your summer reading, I will say I haven't gotten too terribly far in the book because I have not had time. But even just like the first couple of chapters, it's spooky, eerie, and I'm loving it. Moreno Garcia will executive produce with Milojos Ripa, Consuelos, and Albert Bianchini. Michael Halpern is director of development for Milojo. We feel like we hit the literary jackpot and cannot wait to bring Sylvia's gorgeous writing to life together with Hulu, Ripa said. So, born in Mexico and now residing in Vancouver, British Columbia, Moreno Garcia is the best-selling author of Gods of Jade and Sorrow, which is fantastic. Certain Dark Things, and Untamed Shore, and other works. Additionally, Moreno Garcia has edited several anthologies, including the World Fantasy Award-winning She Walks in Shadows. And she has said, I'm excited to see the novel come to life and to meet the talented, diverse crew and cast members that will take us on this journey.
So a couple of questions. Is this essentially just a haunted house thing? Is that what I'm hearing?
Kinda.
The answer is yes.
Think like Mexican Crimson Peak almost is how it's set up so far in the book.
That's the feeling I got from it. Which, Crimson Peak is a movie that a lot of people don't like that I actually enjoy for a lot of reasons.
I like that movie.
I like Crimson Peak a lot.
Yeah.
But the characters are what's really drawing me in right now. Especially the main one, Noemi. She is like, usually it's very demure when you're reading Gothics, demure, meek, or shy or timid kind of female characters thrust into this weird situation. Nah, she's a fucking badass. I mean, they tell her, hey, no smoking in your room. She's like, fuck you, I'm a smoke. They're like, you have to have a driver when you go to town. She's like, fuck you, I can drive on my own. Like, she's a badass. She's like, I play around. I want to go to university to do archaeology or whatever. And her dad's like, well, you need to find a husband. She's like, you. So I like the book so far.
So
I'm excited for the series.
So this production team is Kelly Ripa and her husband, is that right?
Yes.
Okay. So I think this. So people underestimate the impact a producer has on TV and on film. A good producer can set the tone for things. You know, there's arguments out there, and valid ones, that, you know, more than 50% of the quality of John Carpenter's films in the 70s and 80s were because of Deborah Hill.
Absolutely.
Produced the minute, if you look at his catalog, the minute Deborah Hill and him split up and she stopped producing, his movie started to suck, and they continued to suck all the way to now. Kelly Ripa has not proven she can produce shit, except, you know, morning TV shows where she asks bad questions to celebrities. I don't know. The story, I think there's a lot that can be pulled from like Mexican culture and stuff and give us a different vibe to this kind of story. It could be cool. I don't trust the production team at all, though. They're so unproven.
I'll have to say, I don't know much about their production company. I don't know what they've worked on. I don't know. I'm not familiar with anything that they've done. Mm-hmm. It does help in my view that she has read the book. She's a fan of the book. And the fact that they got the author on board to executive produce, like, you know, Handmaid's Tale got Margaret Atwood to executive produce. So I'm still holding out hope. I want to see the cast and crew list. I want to see who's going to play the certain roles that I have in my head. But it's definitely one of those, like, I am hesitant because Kelly Ripa, I liked her. She's one of the morning shows that me and my mom used to watch when we were just sitting there getting her chemo treatments. But I don't know her or Mark Consuelos's production studio. I am not familiar with anything that they've worked on. So
you know what they need?
Two sides of a coin right now.
A lot of it can be changed with a good showrunner. And I know exactly who they need. Nico, you know who they need. They need David Goyer. That's who they need. Right?
God, no.
Right.
No.
Right? That's who they need. David Goyer. He'll fix it. Damon Lindelof. He would be. Zach, how about Damon?
Oh, Jesus.
I don't know.
I trust Lindelof more than Goyer.
If you tell me it's the Mexican version of Crimson Peak, I'm in. I'll watch that. We'll try.
No. If it's the Mexican version of Crimson Peak, they need Guillermo del Toro.
That's what they need. That's
Yes.
Now, keep in mind, I am like only a little bit into the book, but just this much, and I'm already hooked. So, and I really like, if this takes off, I would love to see either a mini series or another series of one of her other books called, mentioned it, Gods of Jade and Shadow, which is essentially 1920s Mayan civilization Cinderella retelling.
Okay. I do honestly prefer what Hulu does to what Netflix does on the majority of cases. So
Yeah.
they're in a better spot. So we'll see.
I will watch it.
Yep.
Cool. All right. Well, let me bring up that script. Let's see what we got coming
Now
out.
we're on Blu-ray.
Coming out on the Blu-ray this week. There's some good stuff. There's a lot of stuff that I did not list here yet. I'll put it up on the page though, on the Facebook page or on the Culturesmash.tv page, because it's worth doing this week because there's so much catalog stuff. But for newer things, Deathstroke Knights and Dragons is out this week. Batwoman, the complete first season is out, but if they had just waited a couple of weeks, they could have changed that to Batwoman, the complete series, because we're done with that.
I mean, they haven't canceled the show. They're just changing the actress.
I thought they canceled it. They're bringing
No.
someone else on.
Yeah, they are bringing somebody else. Yeah, Ruby Rose left the show when they recast. It's not somebody else is playing the same character as Ruby Rose did. Somebody else, they're making a new Batwoman, and somebody else is playing that. Basically, Ruby Rose's character vanishes for some reason, and we don't know why.
Oh, okay. So in other words, it'll get canceled at the end of season 2.
Yeah, I unfortunately expect that.
Have y'all seen Batwoman season 1? Have you watched any of it?
No, I haven't seen it.
Holy shit, it's awful.
I saw a little bit of like some scenes of her and I thought I like Ruby Rose, but I thought she was terrible in it.
Like, I understand CW and I understand they don't have a budget, but holy shit, guys.
I mean, maybe this will work. Maybe it'll be the kick in the pants. It's not that Ruby Rose is a big name, but it is a name, and the person casting the role I don't think is that prominent. So maybe that'll also help free up some budget. I don't know. I hope it goes well.
Okay.
I just feel bad because they put so much effort into that character.
It's true.
Integrating them into the CW era.
Yeah, I was going to say they did all the crossover work with that character and everything. Yeah. So also coming out this week is Flash Gordon, the 4K limited edition. They have a standard Blu-ray edition, and they have a standard 4K edition. I went ahead and ordered the 4K edition. That one's coming. Gamera, the complete collection is out. And
I was about to say, I'm looking at the Flash Gordon set, and it looks really good.
Oh my gosh, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. So Gamera, the complete collection, I'm excited for that. I do have it in screener form to review, but I probably will end up buying it because, I don't know, I'm that weird guy that when I was a kid, I preferred Gamera to Godzilla most of the time. I just thought he was funnier. So Cursed Films is out this week. I think it just says Cursed Films, but I think it's should be a season 1. Cursed Films is a show that Shudder did where they talked about films that were cursed. Where, like Twilight Zone, the movie where someone died and stuff like that. Pitch Black is out in a new like collector's edition from Arrow Films. I'd wait because there's a Pitch Black 4K on the way. Open 24 Hours is out. I'm going to check this one out. It's a anthology film, kind of like Body Bags, if anybody's seen Body Bags, or maybe like Tales from the Crypt, that kind of thing. It's a handful of stories all tied around this one 24-hour venue. And there's more to list. There's a lot of catalog stuff this week. Nico, what do we got happening in the funny books?
All right, first quick story. This is a crossover that we typically only dream about in a weird fever dream.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, Lock and Key and The Sandman, two very different comic series from two very different publishers, are having a crossover series thanks to IDW and DC Comics teaming up. Lock and Key is created by writer Joe Hill, son of Stephen King, and artist Gabriel Rodriguez. It's the story of the Locke family, whose ancestral Massachusetts home of Key House contains a variety of magical keys. And the first season aired on Netflix. The Sandman, created by Neil Gaiman, Sam Keith, and Mike Dringenberg, is about the king of dreaming, Morpheus. It is supposedly having a Netflix adaptation on the way, although It has supposedly had several attempted adaptations that fell through, but it has also been recently adapted into an audiobook format from Audible, with a lot of named actors and actresses in the roles of the book. As I mentioned, otherwise, these have no connection. They're not in the same connected universes. They're not from the same publishers. They're not same writers, nothing. So the franchises are using a very slim connection, a key, in fact. In The Sandman, Lucifer gives Morpheus a key to hell after he abandons his position in hell. This key is supposedly going to be the key to tying into Lock and Key. Lock and Key will start with an issue 0. The series will be called Lock and Key / The Sandman Universe, Hell and Gone. Issue 0 reprints Key stories from both universes, and then issue 1, which is the first real new content, will begin in November. The series will be written by Joe Hill and illustrated by Gabriel Rodriguez. We don't know what actual role Neil Gaiman will have, if he has any in it, possibly some input or consultation. While he is the creator and mastermind behind the Sandman universe, ultimately it is owned outright by DC Comics, and it could just be someone from DC. But
could you imagine if Joe Hill and Neil Gaiman worked together on something? That would be cool. That would be fascinating. Cool.
It makes me really want to finish both franchises because I haven't yet.
I haven't either. I'm more. For me, Lock and Key is more my jam than Sandman, but I do really appreciate the Sandman universe and the uniqueness of it.
Go ahead. I was gonna say, I've read the first trade and some of the other books from Sandman, but I haven't read the whole thing. And Lock and Key, I haven't read any of Lock and Key, but I have seen the show.
Lock and Key is so good.
The show was really good, and I want to splurge at one point to get the collection for Lock and Key.
The show, the comic is better than the show for sure. You'll like it better. I mean, the show was good. I liked it too, but the comic was much better. But to connect them with the key, that's not surprising. That seems like the easy way to do it. And sure, maybe in the end, this is just a marketing grab for the two companies, just bringing them together. But still, I think it's so cool. I can't wait. And only in my dreams could it happen in the show too.
That would be. Well, I mean, it's Netflix. Maybe I don't know.
Yeah,
if Netflix actually gets it done with the Sandman book.
I was going to say, there's something happening with Sandman with them too anyway, right?
Yeah, that's what the article went. But, I mean, talks for Sandman adaptation into movies or television have been going on for years. Mm-hmm. It just never really comes to fruition.
I'm down. I'm going to read this. This is really cool. I'm excited. And I, like you said, we don't know how much impact the actual creators of these franchises are going to have. But
we know how much Joe Hill is going to have because he's writing it. But Neil Gaiman on the Sandman side, we don't know.
It would just be so cool. I would love it. So we'll see. We'll see. What else can we read this week, though? We want to read something.
You got a lot of stuff that came out this week. So if you're a fan of the Hulk character, Peter David, which is one of the most storied Hulk writers of all of Marvel Comics, is revisiting one of his most famous villains for the Hulk, which is, oddly enough, the Hulk himself in a future version called the Maestro, or the Maestro. We finally get the origin of how the Hulk becomes that character, and Maestro, number 1 at 5, with Peter David coming back to that book. If you want to get some one-shot stories about what's happening in DC's current storyline, Dark Knight's Death Metal, they have a book called Dark Knight Death Metal Guidebook number 1, which is basically an anthology from a bunch of different writers: Scott Snyder, Zip Zdarsky, Becky Cloonan, a bunch of different people writing in different kind of stories of different characters like Harley Quinn, Aquaman, how Wonder Woman became the Queen of Hell, Batman finding the Black Lantern ring, a lot of stuff that's taking place in there. So
Wonder Woman is the Queen of Hell?
Yeah, it's a fascinating series.
Does anybody else think that's kind of hot for some reason?
Oh, it is. She also took apart her invisible jet to build a chainsaw.
That is awesome.
Yep. And if you're a podcast fan, now this isn't a series I'm familiar with, but a sci-fi comedy podcast series called Voyage to the Stars, which stars like Felicia Day, Janet Varney, Colton Dunn. Apparently is having its comic book adaptation. So if you want to check that out, that's coming out from IDW. It's going to be one of 4 issues. It's going to be 4 issues. Number 1 of 4 opens up this week. And if you want to see more of stuff that's coming out this week, go to culturesmash.tv.
I've been wondering what, it's funny. I've been kind of off and on, especially now that I got the Eureka complete series, just been kind of wondering what happened to Felicia Day. So I guess now I know.
I think I think she's more just web producer content and not as much definitely not as much on camera stuff.
And it's a real shame because she has this real quirky kind of funky way about her that's fun to watch. She came into Eureka. She was in Eureka toward the end of the series. Yeah.
She also had a kid recently, last couple of years, so I think that also kind of factored into things.
She was one of my favorite characters in Supernatural.
She was really good in Supernatural.
Yeah, and then of course Dr. Horrible.
Yeah.
Can't forget her in Dr. Horrible. She was great.
Yep.
All right. We've been on here for quite a while, but we had a lot of cool stuff to talk about this week. I feel like in a weird way, media stuff is starting to get back into like things to talk about, and that's awesome. I'm happy for that. Yes.
Yep.
So, Nico, where do we find you on the internet?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram under Nico Scream. If you're video, you can see it under my name, NIKOSCREAM.
Tina?
You can find me Instagram and Twitter at CheddarPopper, CHEDRPOPPR, especially if you're wanting those books. Also, feel free to check out The Puppers at the.shadow.pupper on Instagram.
Nice. Nathan?
Find me on Instagram, Nate_R_70. You can also find me on Switch on Dead by Daylight, Nate70471.
Zach?
You can find me on Instagram. I'm Master of the Mixer 71. You can also find me on Steam and Discord. I'm a dangerous mute lunatic. And yeah.
Ooh. So you can find me at All Things Culturesmash, mostly on Facebook because I just can't seem to get in the habit of the Instagram thing. And then Off the Shelf Movie Night on YouTube. I just got some cool documentaries that I put up there. I got that 20 Feet from Stardom. Do you remember that movie? It's a really good documentary. It's a good, really good documentary about backup singers. So I just
the act of killing was better.
Okay. Anyway, and also you can find me in about 5 minutes playing Dead by Daylight on the Xbox. Just look up Culturesmash. I guess I'll bring us to an end. We'll see everybody next week.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Hang on, It's so quiet waiting for me to stop the stream.